Marty Meierotto is best known as one of the most respected survivalists on the television show Mountain Men, but long before the cameras followed him through the frozen wilderness of Alaska, he was simply a young boy who loved nature. Marty was born and raised in Wisconsin, where he spent much of his childhood outdoors. Growing up in a rural environment helped shape his personality. From an early age, he was interested in trapping, hunting, fishing, and learning how to survive in cold conditions. Unlike many children who preferred city life or modern comforts, Marty felt more comfortable in the woods. He learned valuable outdoor skills from experienced trappers and older mentors who understood the traditions of living off the land. These early lessons built the foundation for the life he would later choose. As he grew older, Marty developed a strong work ethic. He understood that survival was not about strength alone. It required patience, planning, and respect for nature. He did not see the wilderness as something to conquer. Instead, he saw it as something to understand and live alongside. This mindset would later make him stand out on television. Before becoming famous, Marty worked as a schoolteacher. He taught industrial arts in Alaska, sharing practical skills with young students. Teaching allowed him to support his family, while still living close to the land he loved. But his true passion remained trapping in the remote regions of Alaska. Eventually, he made a life-changing decision. He chose to live part of each year in an extremely remote cabin near the Yukon River. This cabin was only accessible by small plane. There were no roads, no neighbors, and no easy way out during winter storms. Living there required complete independence. Marty had to gather his own food, maintain his shelter, repair tools, and survive temperatures that dropped far below freezing. Many people dream about adventure, but Marty actually lived it. His lifestyle was not about fame or attention. It was about freedom and self-reliance. When Mountain Men first began airing on the History Channel, viewers were immediately drawn to Marty's calm personality and practical skills. He did not act dramatic for the camera. He spoke honestly and moved carefully. Audiences could see that his survival knowledge was real. He trapped animals responsibly, maintained his equipment, and carefully prepared for each winter season. What made him special was not just his ability to survive, but his attitude. He respected the land and understood its dangers. Over time, he became one of the most loved cast members on the show. Fans admired his independence and his simple way of life. But even during his time on television, Marty made it clear that he did not want fame to change him. He valued privacy and family above everything else. His wife, Dominique, and their daughter supported his lifestyle, even though it meant long periods of separation during trapping season. This balance between family life and wilderness survival became an important part of his story. Marty was never just a television personality. He was a real trapper, a teacher, a husband, and a father who chose a life that very few people would dare to attempt. When Marty Meierotto joined Mountain Men, he quickly became one of the most respected and admired cast members. The show, which first aired in 2012 on the History Channel, focused on individuals who chose to live close to nature in some of the most remote parts of North America. While other cast members lived in different regions, Marty's story stood out because of how isolated his trapping grounds were. Each fall, he would leave his home and fly by small bush plane to his cabin near the Yukon River in Alaska. This cabin was extremely remote. There were no roads leading to it, no nearby towns, and no easy way to contact the outside world once winter fully arrived. The only way in or out was by plane, and once heavy snowstorms began, even flying became dangerous. For several months each year, Marty lived alone in that cabin, depending only on his skills, experience, and preparation. Life in the Yukon wilderness was not easy. Temperatures often dropped far below zero, sometimes reaching 40 or 50 degrees below freezing. In such extreme cold, simple mistakes could become deadly. Marty had to wake up early each day to check his trap lines, sometimes traveling long distances by snowmobile. He trapped animals such as marten and other fur-bearing species, following strict legal seasons and regulations. Trapping was not just about survival, it was also part of a long-standing tradition in Alaska. Marty treated this work with seriousness and respect. He understood that the land provided for him, and in return, He had to use its resources wisely. One of the reasons viewers connected with Marty was his calm and thoughtful personality. He did not complain about hardship. Instead, he explained the importance of preparation. Before each winter, he carefully stored food, cut firewood, repaired his cabin, and checked his equipment. He often said that survival in Alaska begins long before the first snowfall. Planning, discipline, and knowledge were more important than physical strength. This practical wisdom made him different from many survival shows that focused only on danger and drama. Marty showed the real daily work behind living off the land. Another important part of his story was the balance between his wilderness life and his family life. During the trapping season, he lived alone. But when spring arrived, he returned home to his wife, Dominique, and their daughter. In later seasons of the show, viewers saw that Marty wanted to spend more time with his family. He began bringing his daughter to the cabin so she could learn about the lifestyle he loved. Teaching her survival skills was deeply meaningful to him. It was not about forcing her to live the same life, but about passing down knowledge and values. He believed that understanding nature builds confidence and character. Despite the growing popularity of mountain men, Marty never appeared interested in fame. He rarely gave interviews outside the show and did not try to build a celebrity image. What viewers saw on television seemed very close to who he truly was in real life. This authenticity helped him gain loyal fans. Many people admired the idea of escaping modern stress and returning to a simpler way of living. Marty represented that dream, but he also showed its reality. It required hard work, sacrifice, and long periods of isolation. As the seasons continued, however, it became clear that Marty was thinking about change. The long separations from his family and the increasing demands of filming began to influence his decisions. He had achieved success on television, but his priorities were shifting. His love for the wilderness remained strong, yet his role as a father and husband was becoming even more important. This quiet change would eventually lead to one of the most talked about moments in his career, his decision to step away from the show. In 2020, fans of Marty Meierotto were surprised when he announced that he would be leaving Mountain Men. After many successful seasons, his departure marked the end of an important chapter, not only for the show but also for viewers who had followed his journey for years. Unlike dramatic stories that sometimes surround television exits, Marty's decision was simple and honest. He explained that he wanted to spend more time with his family. For someone who had spent months alone in the Yukon wilderness each year, the time away from his wife Dominique and their daughter had become harder to justify. While he deeply loved trapping and living in his remote cabin, he loved his family even more. Marty made it clear that his decision was not caused by conflict with the network or the producers. Instead, it was about priorities. Over time, he realized that life moves quickly, and he did not want to miss important moments with his daughter as she grew older. Being present as a father mattered more to him than continuing on television. In interviews around the time of his departure, he spoke calmly about the choice. There was no anger or regret in his words. He seemed peaceful about it, confident that stepping away was the right move. Many fans wondered whether he would completely leave trapping or if he would still return to his cabin in Alaska. The answer was not dramatic. Marty did not suddenly abandon the wilderness. Trapping and living close to nature were still part of who he was. However, he no longer wanted to structure his life around a television filming schedule. Reality television, even when authentic, still requires planning, coordination, and time commitments. For someone who valued independence and privacy, that structure may have felt limiting over the years. By leaving the show, Marty regained full control over his schedule and lifestyle. After his departure, rumors occasionally appeared online suggesting that he had disappeared or completely isolated himself from society. However, there is no verified evidence supporting dramatic claims about his fate. In reality, Marty has simply chosen a more private life. He has never been someone who constantly seeks media attention. Even during his time on Mountain Men, he did not promote himself heavily on social media. His personality has always been quiet and reserved. So when he stepped away from the public eye, it felt mysterious to some fans, even though it was consistent with his character. It is also important to understand that living in remote Alaska does not automatically mean someone has vanished. Many Alaskans live in rural areas where communication can be limited during certain seasons. Marty's lifestyle has always included long periods away from large towns or modern systems. That independence is part of the appeal of wilderness living. For viewers who are used to constant updates from celebrities, his silence might seem unusual. But for someone like Marty, privacy is normal. What makes his story powerful is not a mystery or a disappearance. It is the message behind his choice. He showed that success does not always mean staying in the spotlight. Sometimes success means knowing when to step back. Marty proved that a person can walk away from fame in order to protect what matters most. His life after television may not be filled with dramatic headlines, but it reflects the same values he demonstrated on screen: independence, responsibility, and commitment to family. Even years after leaving Mountain Men, the name of Marty Meierotto continues to appear in online discussions, fan forums, and outdoor communities. This lasting interest shows that his impact went far beyond simple entertainment. Marty represented something that many people feel is slowly disappearing in modern life: true independence. In a world where technology connects everyone constantly, his lifestyle reminded viewers that it is still possible to live in a slower, quieter way. He showed that happiness does not always come from comfort, wealth, or public attention. Sometimes it comes from self-reliance and a strong connection to nature. One of the reasons his legacy remains strong is because he felt authentic. Many reality television shows are often criticized for exaggeration or scripted drama. While Mountain Men was still a produced television program, Marty's personality did not seem artificial. He spoke in a calm and thoughtful manner. He explained his decisions clearly. When something went wrong, such as equipment failure or harsh weather, he did not overreact for the camera. Instead, he treated each challenge as part of daily life in Alaska. This steady behavior made viewers trust him. Trust is very important in television, especially in shows about survival. People want to believe that what they are watching is real. Another important part of his legacy is the way he approached wilderness living. He never described Alaska as something to conquer. Instead, he described it as something to respect. That difference is powerful. Some survival shows focus only on extreme danger. Marty showed both the danger and the beauty. He talked about preparation, responsibility, and understanding the land before depending on it. He reminded viewers that nature is not an enemy. It is a system that requires knowledge and patience. This respectful attitude influenced many people who dream about outdoor lifestyles. His decision to leave the show also strengthened his image rather than damaging it. In modern culture, many celebrities try to extend their fame as long as possible. Marty did the opposite. He stepped away when he felt it was time. That decision showed confidence and self-awareness. He did not allow public attention to control his life choices. Instead, he chose his family and personal values. For many fans, that choice made him even more admirable. It proved that the principles he spoke about on screen were not just words. He truly lived by them. The ongoing fascination with his life also reveals something about the audience. Many viewers of Mountain Men are not only interested in survival skills, they are interested in meaning. They see in Marty a symbol of freedom from modern pressure. Even though most people will never live in a remote Yukon cabin, they appreciate the idea that someone can. It creates hope that alternative ways of living still exist. His story invites people to think about their own priorities. What truly matters? Comfort or freedom? Security or independence? Family or fame? Marty's life offers quiet answers without preaching. Today, while he maintains his privacy, his influence continues through reruns, interviews, and discussions among outdoor enthusiasts. Young people who discover the show years later still respond to his calm voice and practical wisdom. In that way, his story does not need dramatic mystery to remain interesting. The real power of his journey is simple. He followed the path that felt right to him, even when it meant walking away from national television. To fully understand the life of Marty Meierotto, it is important to understand what trapping in remote Alaska truly involves. Many viewers of Mountain Men saw beautiful snowy landscapes, frozen rivers, and quiet forests, But the reality behind those scenes was much harder than it appeared on television. Trapping in Alaska is not simply about setting traps and collecting fur. It requires months of preparation, strong physical endurance, and deep knowledge of weather patterns, animal behavior, and survival skills. Marty's yearly routine followed a careful cycle. Before winter arrived, he had to prepare his cabin by cutting and stacking large amounts of firewood. In extreme cold, running out of firewood is not just uncomfortable, it can be life-threatening. He also had to stock food supplies, check his snowmobile, repair tools, and make sure every piece of equipment was ready. In remote areas near the Yukon River, there are no repair shops. If something breaks, you fix it yourself or you go without it. Once winter fully settled in, daily life became even more demanding. Temperatures in interior Alaska can drop far below zero for long periods. At -40 degrees, exposed skin can freeze in minutes. Machines can fail because fuel thickens and batteries lose power. Snowstorms can reduce visibility to almost nothing. In those conditions, Marty still had to travel miles across frozen land to check his trap lines. These trap lines were not placed randomly. They followed known animal paths and required constant monitoring. Responsible trappers must check traps regularly to avoid waste and ensure ethical practices. This meant long hours outdoors, often alone, in silence except for the sound of wind or the engine of a snowmobile. Another challenge was isolation. Living alone in a remote cabin for months can affect a person mentally as well as physically. There is no quick access to friends, stores, or medical help. Communication is limited. If an emergency happens, rescue may not come quickly. Marty understood these risks and accepted them. But isolation is not easy for everyone. It requires emotional strength and comfort with solitude. Many people enjoy camping for a weekend. Very few could handle total isolation for an entire winter season. Marty's calm personality made this lifestyle possible. He did not fear silence. In fact, he seemed to appreciate that IT is also important to understand the financial reality of trapping. While television made the lifestyle visible, trapping itself is not a guaranteed way to become wealthy. For prices change depending on global markets. Some seasons are better than others. Weather conditions can affect animal movement, which affects success. Marty did not rely only on trapping for income. His work as a schoolteacher and his television earnings supported his family as well. This balance between passion and practical responsibility showed maturity. He did not romanticize wilderness life as easy money. He treated it as skilled labor connected to tradition. Through his example, viewers learned that real survival is about preparation more than adventure. On television, dramatic moments often get attention, but Marty frequently emphasized planning. A well-prepared trapper reduces risk before danger arrives. That mindset applies beyond Alaska. Many fans said they learned life lessons from watching him. Be ready. Respect nature. Think ahead. Stay calm under pressure. The reality of Marty's lifestyle was not fantasy. It was hard work mixed with deep personal satisfaction. He did not choose that life to escape responsibility. He chose it because it matched his values. Understanding these daily challenges helps explain why he eventually decided to spend more time with his family. Living in extreme isolation may build strength, but family connection builds something equally important. His story shows that even the strongest survivalist must balance independence with love and responsibility. The popularity of mountain men and the presence of Marty Meierotto on the show had a lasting impact on how the public perceives wilderness living. Before the series, many viewers thought of survivalists and trappers as isolated, almost mythical figures, difficult to relate to. Marty changed that perception. He showed that living in extreme conditions requires intelligence, preparation, and respect for nature rather than reckless bravery. His calm approach made survival look both attainable and meaningful, even for those who had never personally set foot in Alaska's remote regions. Through the show, audiences saw the daily realities of living off the grid, preparing cabins for winter, tracking and checking trap lines, maintaining equipment, and navigating dangerous terrain. These were not sensationalized stunts. Instead, they demonstrated the skill, patience, and discipline required to survive in one of the harshest climates on Earth. Many fans remarked that Marty's approach to nature felt like a form of quiet education. He did not just entertain, he taught practical lessons about resourcefulness, responsibility, and observation. Viewers learned that nature is predictable if treated with respect, but unforgiving when underestimated. The impact of Marty's portrayal extended beyond the television screen. Outdoor enthusiasts, hikers, and aspiring trappers often cited him as inspiration. Some began learning skills like snowshoeing, tracking, and building shelters. Others simply adopted his mindset of preparation and respect for the environment in their daily lives. In schools and community programs, educators use clips from mountain men to teach students about Alaska, survival skills, and environmental awareness. Marty became more than a television personality. He became a symbol of self-reliance and thoughtful living. His influence also sparked discussion about modern life. Many viewers reflected on how dependent society has become on technology, convenience, and constant communication. Marty's independence highlighted an alternative, life that emphasizes skills, patience, and connection to the natural world. Fans admired his ability to live without constant distraction, relying on observation, intuition, and careful planning. This contrast made people reconsider what they value in their own lives. Could they simplify, prepare better, or spend more time learning essential skills? Marty's lifestyle encouraged these reflections without forcing anyone to adopt the extreme path he chose. Even outside Alaska, his story resonated culturally. Social media and online communities frequently discuss his methods, survival philosophy, and character. People share lessons learned from Marty, stories about surviving in harsh climates, and respect for wilderness traditions. Many followers appreciate that his life demonstrates humility. He was not seeking fame or publicity. Marty's fame arose naturally from his skill and integrity. This authenticity gave weight to his message. In a world often dominated by sensationalism, viewers found honesty and realism refreshing. Finally, Marty's legacy with mountain men shows that influence can come from subtle lessons rather than grand gestures. He never needed to stage dramatic rescues or extreme challenges for attention. Instead, he demonstrated what living deliberately means: observing, learning, preparing, and respecting limits. Through Marty, people discovered that wilderness living is not just about survival. It is about understanding the balance between risk and wisdom, isolation and connection, freedom and responsibility. His life offered a model for approaching challenges thoughtfully, whether in the wild or in everyday life. One of the most compelling chapters in the life of Marty Meierotto is the story of his disappearance from the public eye and the speculation that followed. After leaving Mountain Men, Marty gradually became unreachable to fans and journalists alike. There were no interviews, no updates, and no sightings that could be verified. This silence, though entirely consistent with his private nature, became a source of fascination for the public. People are naturally drawn to mysteries, especially when the subject is someone admired for their independence and skill. Marty's disappearance combined both elements. He was a real-life survival expert who had lived among the harshest conditions on Earth.